it's extremely, extremely, extremely cruel. So all these kind of abstract conversations, or even, this thousands of years conflict, it's BS when you actually look at what's going on the ground. And as Michael Brooks, and I've been very happy, my good friend and comrade, passed away unfortunately a few years ago. It's been very heartening to see some clips of him going viral over the past couple of weeks. And he has this great clip where he basically says, it's not complicated at all. In fact, it's very, very simple. Now, there are in the weeds conversations that we can have, and I'm one for nuance all the way. But on a baseline, basic position, there are a bunch of people who live their lives in captivity, are bombed to hell, do not have the right to basically be able to form their own government, to do social services. They don't even control their own borders, right? So all this talk about, because there's this conflation too, we're just talking about Palestine as if it's like a country. No, that has been denied to them as well. So when you really look at the facts of it, it's the clearest thing ever. We need to end the occupation immediately. First we need a ceasefire, and then we need to end the occupation. And all this other stuff, there will be conflicts and questions and debates and things to have. But the thing that's so frightening is that we're not even having that. We're having right now is just straight up denial of the atrocities that are ongoing. It doesn't even look, it's horrifying to think, by the way, too, that this is just the start, that this is going to get way worse over the next few days and weeks.
Well, that's what I said. I mean, at this point, to me, even if you had a ceasefire right now, which would be good, but the chain of events that has been set into motion based on turning off water, turning off electricity, like these things, 45% of the people's homes being destroyed, right? The food, little food coming in. You've set a chain in motion that will lead to, I don't understand how they get out of this without 1 million dead people, because now you've got people literally standing around rubble with nowhere to go, and no water and no food. How long does that take to, this is not, it's very simple.
This is a sophisticated military, engaged in a bombing campaign of millions of people who have nowhere to go. You're totally right in the sense of where does this end? In fact, I actually don't even think the Israeli at this point with what has been set into motion, they're not even clear, by the way, about how this ends and what that they want. And it is extremely frightening, because at a certain point, if you're just bombing people with no intention or plan or anything, right? Not that I would think it'd be justified if there was a plan, don't get me wrong here, but it seems very clear that the government of Israel doesn't even have an end goal other than the mass evacuation and slaughter of Palestinian people.
I think it's just revenge. Ultimately they want to get rid of the people, but this particular campaign is really just revenge. And, you would think, okay, is their goal to push them down into Egypt? Is that, but then you wouldn't necessarily bomb the crossing, they're all over the place, because they are just seeing red and they just want to kill them. That's what I think. And they care not about their own hostages. And one thing that I think is important is, while all this is happening, I think a lot of people are taking their eye off the West Bank. And I think that there has been, from my understanding, a huge increase in the settler violence, that has been going on over there, while people are distracted from by Gaza. And they're just really, it's almost like a full on, they're just taking all what's left. They're just taking all what's left. You guys had a little pieces of Swiss cheese over there, and this little prison concentration camp. We're just going to clear you off and just have the whole thing.
David, I wanted
to... sorry.
No, go ahead. No, finish your thought first.
I was just going to say, too, just to add to it, let's also not forget the Palestinian-Israeli citizens, too, who have been facing incredible abuse and attacks. There was a video of a bunch of Palestinian students being attacked by a mob just the other day. Right. So, it's across the board in Gaza, in Israel, in the West Bank, a full-on assault of Palestinian people.
And yet, I'll just say why you were scared.
Yeah, well, everything is going to be conflated in the worst possible way. And you brought up a very good point. And yes, obviously, rest in peace, Michael Brooks. Talk about a time where his voice is so very much needed. And I wanted to share this with you. I met him right before he passed. There was an event that he did with Crystal, Aaron Mate, and I think it was the three of them that were there. And I know Aaron personally, and we were communicating, and there were the two of them were like in this like really in-depth conversation. And I happened to take a photograph of them talking to each other, and I sent it to Aaron, and I'm sure he still has it. He was very grateful that I sent it to him, and I just remember just the brief time that I talked to him. First, he thought the world of Jen, and that really meant a lot.
Which I wish you had told me then.
I
had no idea this. Loved him, and
the fact that he would never let people. He was always so on point with the facts, with the nuance of every specific issue.
Totally.
And that meant so much in that moment, because one of the big problems that we seem to have, especially in the so-called left media spaces, is being able to distinguish when you absolutely need political nuance. And the sad reality is that Michael is one of the few people that I saw that was not motivated by money. But there are a lot of people in these spaces that are motivated by money. And so the decisions that they make in terms of how they will talk about certain things, the only person's name I'm going to mention, because I absolutely detest him and I think he is the embodiment of the worst in this entire ecosystem. And that, of course, is David Pakman. And so
it's his thing, not mine.
But he's not the only one who's guilty. He just happens to be one that is extremely. I mean, I remember when he was talking about we need a coup to get. To get Maduro out and get
right.
Guaido in. And I'm thinking anyone who even takes this, who shares the same sentiments as Debbie Wasserman Schultz, get out.
I think he wants to shove Pakman in like the gym locker.
Yeah, he's got like that really
so bad.
I'm trying to think of like who the best.
I don't like talking about other people.
I don't want to talk about other people either, but I think it's important to talk about how the messaging in left political spaces is really it's completely discombobulated at this point. And then you have people like him that take it to a level where you might as well just be a complete ethno-Zionist who believes in mass genocide.
But that's not the left. Then by default, that's like Jews for Jesus. You cannot have.
Are you sure that's not possible?
It isn't. I have a cousin who says he's that, and I think it's ridiculous. Whatever. I reject that entirely. If you take Christ as your savior, you're de facto Christian. I'm done with you.
Fair enough.
But that's an argument I refuse. Like I've had that one too many times with people. But it's an oxymoron. That's the point. It's not a thing. You cannot say you're for an ethno state and then claim to be a leftist.
I wish more people would learn from Michael's message.
Oh, yeah.
No, I mean, we try not to do too much of coming after individuals. We'll do like a Jimmy Dore thing from time to time, or those.
He loves that shit. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, exactly. That's why we try not to do it too much.
Exactly. It's why we don't talk about. That's why I don't do it. Yeah.
But sometimes it can be helpful to sort of reach people, because there are people who that's like what their feed is, and then you can reach folks. We did do a Pakman kind of breakdown in the most recent episode of Left Reckoning in the post game, the Patreon only side, because I got pretty fed up with the way that he was talking about this issue. I mean, this is somebody who for years has towed a very bad line on it. This is somebody who denies apartheid from the get-go, which I find to be just a heinous thing. But the reason that I ended up, feeling the need to really talk about Pakman in particular is he's starting to lead the charge and attacks on people like Rashida Tlaib. Somebody like Rashida Tlaib, who's been at the forefront and fighting for humanity on this issue. I find it to be really nasty just in a moment like this to be locking arms with people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, the right wing, and those folks, and start calling out Rashida Tlaib by name. And when it comes to like the left, I mean, sorry to talk about other people, but it's like somebody like Pakman infuriates me a lot, because I think they see their role. I won't talk about what is in people's heart, if it's money or not, who knows, because you can also make a lot of money on YouTube by saying a lot of really dumb kind of ultra leftist stuff too, in fairness, right? But it's this orientation of sort of like, oh, well, the left is like too crazy and there's too many people who care about human rights on it. So we just need a very serious guy to be, nuanced and intelligent to break it down when it's BS in a conversation like this, right? Also, you talked about the Venezuela thing. Pakman, I remember he put out a video when there was the right-wing fascist Christian coup in Bolivia against Evo Morales, sort of chastising the quote revolutionary left. There would be people like Michael Brooks at the time, for getting it wrong. Well, no, there was a right-wing fascist coup. Evo Morales won that election, and thousands of people died. And because you wanted to sort of be like, oh, look, I'm the serious progressive who sort of backs American imperialism, anti-indigenous movements abroad. Your desire to sort of play that role means that you're sort of lining up with the right. I don't think that that's somebody who I'm particularly interested in having in our movements, because it shows, one, a lack of understanding, if we're being kind and generous here, but more so, it shows that like you are a very fickle ally, where when things get tough, when maybe taking a left-wing position on a topic is quote unquote like unpopular, even like on this issue, I think it's become very, very clear that the American public is moving. But you should be advocating for Palestine, even if the polling numbers were bad, right? Because that's what we're supposed to do. That's the role of particularly in media, is that we're supposed to be here to tell the truth, to encourage growth within the working class movements in this country. And if you, at any moment that things get tough, you start locking arms with the right wing, I don't view you as an ally, Frank.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.